Hi everybody, we are going to get started with a March Club Q kit. This one is called Happiness Multiplies. So the quote is, happiness multiplies when it is shared. Some fun bright colors. The Powder Puff chalking inks that are suggested are Amber, Malachite, and Blue Lotus. Amber and Malachite are two of our brand new colors out of our Gemstone Powder Puff chalking collection. What we will get started with, like I normally do, we will do the cutting first, punching out die cuts. One I want to mention before you get too far on punching out die cuts, this is the only one I don't have punched out yet. When you do, these little strips here on the side we will be using. So make sure you don't get lost or get those lost. We will be using these. They're just really small, so I wanted to show you before they get thrown away with some of your scraps. And this 10 by 10 piece that comes out of here, once you have all the stuff punched out of the middle, this piece is garbage. That's just trash. You can throw that. But this 10 by 10, when you have all of your flowers punched out of this, we are going to use that 10 by 10 piece. Okay, so don't get rid of that 10 by 10. We will be using it as a background. Those intricate flowers are a little harder to punch out. I do the easy ones first, and then I let this one kind of fall out. Trim off some of these, pull off some of these. Be really gentle with that more intricate one because it tears easily. And if it does, no worries, you can put it back together on your page. So hang on to these and don't get rid of this piece. I know it looks like trash, but it is not a scrap. We are actually going to use that so that we can see that outside part. Some of these here in the middle you can just pull off if you want to, because you won't use those, but the square we are actually going to use, so don't get rid of that. I just wanted to catch you before that stuff was gone in the garbage, because there's been many times where I've had to dig through the garbage and get what I need. Okay, so let's get started. We'll do the cutting diagrams first, and I always like to have my diagram right next to me as I cut. So I'm going to do this yellow floral piece first, or script piece. It's kind of floral on one side and then yellow on the other. We are going to cut this 9 by 9 piece. Oops, let me get my trimmer set up here. So a 9 by 9 out of the yellow. Put it in your trimmer at 9 and cut. Turn it into 9 and cut. And the piece that comes off of that side should be 3 inches across, and we are going to cut a 5-inch piece and a 4-inch piece off of that. So set your 9 by 9 aside. We're going to use that in just a little bit. And then we are going to put this in at 4 inches. And that gives you a 3 by 4 and a 3 by 5. Okay. This piece down here, we are going to cut 2 1/2-inch pieces by 10. So what I'm going to do is cut it at 10 first, because if you cut it at the 1 inch, then it's really kind of hard to do that skinny little strip and cut it. So we are going to do at 10 inches. This would be a nice little tag for something if you want to save it, but we're not using it on this page. And then out of this piece of paper, we are going to do a 1/2 inch. So it's a 3-inch piece of paper, but we're going to trim off a 1/2-inch strip and another 1/2 inch. Okay. So these are the 2 pieces we'll be using. This one is not being used. And I'm going to set those 2 little strips with my pink strips. And then we are going to move to the next diagram, which is this blue, and we are going to start with the 9.5. Actually, let me see which one to start with here. We are going to actually cut off the 1-inch strips first. Let's do that. We're going to do the strips first, and then what's left, we'll make sure it's a 9.5 by 9.5. Because this one, if we were to cut this one first, it would come down into this 10-inch piece on the side. So let's start with the 1 by 12. We'll put this in, cut a 1 by 12. And then the next piece is a 1 by 11, so I'm just going to move it in 1 inch and do another 1-inch strip. And to make that 11, we will cut 1 inch off of the end there. Okay? And I'm just leaving this paper sitting right here so that I know which direction I want to put it back in. Okay, so we have a 1 by 12 and a 1 by 11. Put those with my other little strips of paper. And then I'm going to turn this one, and we will do the 1 by 10 and the 1.5 by 9.5. Okay? So once we turn this, we will trim it 1 inch off, and that should be a 1 by 10. Okay. We'll move it down 1 more inch. Actually, so it looks like this one's 1.5. So we are going to go 1.5. So this will end up being 9.5 here. And if you need a second, or if you need to watch that again, just push pause or rewind so that you can see how the cutting works. So if we slide this down, you're at the 9.5. This gives you a 1.5 inch strip over here. And this needs to be at 9.5. It's 10 right now, so we will cut it down to 9.5. Okay. Then this one we need to, it's at 9.5 on one side, and then we need to turn it and make it 9.5 on the other side as well, so that you have a 9.5 by 9.5 inch square. Okay. This little piece, just throw away because it does not work on this page. If you find a place for it, that's fine, but it's not one that we actually need. So we have our 9.5 by 9.5 piece. And we have one more blue piece of paper that we are going to do this last diagram. It's a pretty simple one. We are going to put it into 6 inches. Actually, let's see. So 6 inches and trim. And then we need a 6 by 8, so this one just gets turned. You have a 6 by 8. And this right here is a good chunk that you could use on something else that matches this, but it's not used on this page. So we have a 6 by 8. And out of this last piece, we need a 5 by 7. So I'm actually going to do the 7. And then I'll turn it and do the 5. And again, if I get going too fast, just hit pause, rewind. This little piece is extra, so don't put that in with your strips. If you get a lot of extra things mixed in there, then it's hard to find the ones that you need when you need them. Okay, and out of this last piece, so you have your 5x7 that you just cut. Out of this last leftover piece, we need a 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I am going to, let's see, what is this at? This is only at 5, so I'm going to turn it the long way and do 5 1/4. This is left over, so get that out of your workspace. We did a 5 1/4, so now we need a 3 1/4. And this is left over, not used. So 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. And that is all the cutting I believe we have to do. The only other thing I would say to get prepared before we start layering things on there is to trim out your journaling pieces and your little quote. And if you end up with, so I trimmed a little wrong here, so there's a little white space around the edges and stuff. Don't even worry about that, because once you chalk things up around the edge and make it a little messy, it's not even going to show. And I'll go ahead and chalk those up while you're trimming those out. I'm actually going to use this Fields of Green, which I love this color. This is an older color. Malachite is our new green, which is a little brighter than this. I love the malachite too. So you choose what works for you. So see, once you get this all chalked up, you can't even tell that I kind of miscut that there. On your orange one, I have Mango Mai Tai. I'm going to chalk that one up. I also have Petunia over here that would look good with that. It's kind of an orangish peach color. So once you get those trimmed out, and I'm going to use a yellow on this happiness quote, and this one is called Summer Days. This one's really bright. If you want something that's not quite as bright, maybe use amber, or our new color is citrine. It's a little bit darker than this. Or what is the, oh, Desert Sun. That's one of my favorites from one of our past powder puffs. Okay, so I am going to get my trimmer out of here, and we're going to just start layering things up on our page. So grab your 2 background pages. I love that this month, all 4 pages, they actually have the same background. I like to mix it up a lot, but this one I think looks really nice when you do these together. This paper line is called French Riviera. It is brand new. We actually, as I'm filming this, have not even released it on the website yet. Some of it we're saving for our private reserve events in the fall. If you've never joined us at a private reserve, we do them at 4 different places throughout the country. In the fall, it's a 3-day weekend, and it's so much fun. We're in Washington, California, Texas, and Pennsylvania. And for those of you that are not even close there, we do have a lot of people that fly in for those events, but if that is not an option, we also have our 3-day private reserve events online in November. Okay, so I'm just getting these kind of laid out here, set up. So that weird square piece from our laser, I'm going to get that laid out there first. And then you can see we just cover it up like this, okay, with our 9.5 by 9.5 piece. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a little adhesive around the outside of this. We don't really want to put it in the middle because that would attach to your background page. We're going to just attach this piece to the pink paper. And I'm using the Barely Art Precision Craft Glue because we have lots of intricate die cuts, and that craft glue makes it really easy. And you don't need a whole lot. Just a little dot here and there. Okay, once you get that glued together, then we can flip it over, put a little in the middle here, and around the edges, and then we'll get our background. It's just centered right in the middle of your page. And this background paper is so busy that it's not really going to show if you're a little bit off, I don't think. Otherwise you can measure it out if you want to make it exact, but it's not going to show too much. Okay, got that centered. The next piece that goes on will be your yellow 9x9 that you cut out. And you can use either side. If you want the yellow to show, you can use this side. If you want the floral, which is what we have in the picture, you can do this. And again, chalk up the edges with whichever color you want to kind of bring out. If you want more greens or blues or yellows, go ahead and chalk up the edges of these with whatever matches your photos best. I'm just doing this just a little bit, but you can go ahead and hit pause if you want to and chalk yours up all the way around. And it doesn't really matter which direction you put this. It's all your preference. Just center it in that blue. And then we have, let's see which piece is easiest to put on next. Okay, we are going to do this little pocket at the bottom. So you want to leave about a 1/4 of an inch showing of your floral here. So chalk these up if you want to. I'll add a little blue to this one. I usually just run it all the way down the side and then do a little more on the edges here. And when you glue this down, you are going to want to only do the bottom edge and the sides because we're going to tuck a few things in there. So the sides, bottom edge, and a 1/4 of an inch up from your floral paper. Okay. A lot of times I work on both pages at the same time, but I think I'm going to go ahead and finish out this page and go from there. So you have a skinny pink strip that came out of your die cut. So the skinniest one is going to go right across the middle of this blue. So again, this is great glue to use for this kind of stuff because it's so small. But right across the middle, you put your pink piece. And you have, let me grab the pieces that I need here. Okay, you have 3 blue pieces here. The largest one goes on page 2. The medium goes on page 1. We're just going to lay that out like this for right now. And the smallest goes on page 1 as well. Okay? So on top of that, you have other photo mats. So you want to just kind of match up which one fits in the center. So there is, I believe this is a 4.5 by 6.5. So not the largest. The largest goes over here. And then the taller, skinny one goes on the blue here. Okay, so just take a minute if you need to pause. Take a minute to get those lined up and chalk up the edges if you would like. The last little photo backer that gets tucked in here is a pink background with the yellow over top of it. And actually it looks like in my original I did this side. So you choose the side that you would like to use. On any of these you do not have to use the yellow. You can flip them over and do this side if you like it better. Totally up to you. So once you get those lined up, go ahead and chalk up the edges and get those glued down. I'm using Mango Mai Tai for this one, so I'm adding a little orange to it. This would look really nice with pink, with blue around the edge. If you do use blue on this yellow paper, it tends to look green because blue and yellow make green. So if you are using blue, just know that that's going to look a little more green around the edges there on that yellow. Sometimes I don't think about that until I already have it being chalked up. So I'll show you here. I'll use a blue. This is kind of a dark blue, but it makes it look like a dark green on there, which matches. So if you want to do that, you can. Or you can use the brighter malachite green that is suggested. Or you can make it really bright and use some pinks if you want. Maybe strawberry milkshake, or what's the brightest pink? Bubblegum. That would actually be really pretty on there. And as always, if you are not putting your pictures in right now, just make sure you barely tack things down so that you can move it around if you want to. You don't want parts of your picture covered up that are important. But I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit behind here and tack this down. And this is about 1/4 of an inch above and below here, or on the left side and above. These two actually get tucked into this pocket. And here's where you can kind of move things around. Just make sure you don't put glue underneath here, because if you glue that down, you're not going to be able to peel it back up to put pictures on. And your little orange journaling piece, you can put it out to the side here if you want that whole space, or you could tuck it in like this is a pocket here. That's up to you. I actually kind of like it out here to the side a little bit. So you choose. I'm just going to put a little adhesive behind here to keep mine in place. So once you start gluing things down or getting the pictures on like you want, then you can add a little more adhesive and get them glued down to your page. Okay, the only other piece for this page, which is kind of the focal point of this page, is your, let me see here. Let me make sure that I have the right pieces before I show you. Okay, so we have a solid orange background for your flower. And then you have a pink that's not quite as intricate as the top part that goes on the other page. So you want this piece. And on here is a little piece that hangs off there so that it kind of shows you where the stem is so that you know how to line that up. So you want the orange first, the pink next, and you don't have to have glue all over that. You just need a little bit kind of in the center. Once you get it into your page protector, it'll lay flat, and you don't have to waste your glue on gluing the entire thing down. And then after your pink piece is on, there is a yellow, more intricate piece to go over the top. And so again, I would just use your adhesive and do a few dots here and there. And this will be plenty. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I'm going to set this to the side real quick. I actually chalked these green. So if you, they're just fine orange too because it all matches, but I did use the malachite color and I chalked these green. And one way to do that, actually I'm going to use this other one because it's a little juicier. If you lay it on a scrap piece of paper, you can do just an all over color by patting it on there too. Okay. Or you can just do the edges. It doesn't have to be completely covered. I kind of like a little bit of the orange showing through because it's matches the paper, ties in some of the other colors. And it can be really messy because a lot of this is covered up by the top layer. Okay, so once you have your green on there, if you want the green, then just go ahead and layer this on top. And if it's not exact, don't even worry about it. Okay, and once I did that, I'm going to just add a couple of dots here to lay this down flat. The thing with this glue is I got a little bit on the edge there, but it dries clear, so you will be fine. It won't show. You just do a couple little dots. I know some people run these a little more intricate layered stuff through their Xyron, which is kind of fun. Okay, so you have your flower on. The last thing for that page is your little quote here. So you tuck that in wherever it works for you. I'm going to actually put it down here a little ways below the pink. And a couple dots to hold this on the page. And your first page is done. Fun colors, spring layout. This could work for a lot more than just spring though. So if you have summer pages, some fun tropical travel, lots of options for this one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this one to the middle over here. Again, chalk it up the colors you would like before you glue it down. And you have two photo mats that go on here. Chalk those up. Put a little adhesive. And then these should all have about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. There's no rhyme or reason to, there's a little space here that's smaller than 1/4 of an inch, but all the way around the outside it should be about 1/4 of an inch. And you can use any direction. There's no rhyme or reason about how you have to have it on there. So you choose the direction that you would like. Okay, so you have a 12-inch blue piece. This is going to go in about, oops, I grabbed the wrong size. So you have these three sizes here. And the 12-inch goes in about 1.25 inches from the right side of the page. And if you want more space for pictures, you can put that out a little further if you want to. So your blue. go about 1.25 inches. You can measure that out if you want to, or put it wherever it works best for your pictures. The next one I'm going to do is your 11-inch, and that's going to go across the bottom. It doesn't go obviously to the entire edge. This is going to go almost 2 inches up, I think, from the bottom. And honestly, there's no exact, so you do whatever looks good in your eye and gives you enough space for your pictures. And then your smaller one, it's actually going to go right next to this one. And these can be anywhere you would like. It's not going to mess anything else up if you put it in a different spot. So you have 2 yellow and 1 pink, and these just kind of get layered up here. Whatever looks good for you. It's basically just to add a little extra color up the side. So you do what works for you. Okay. And you have one last yellow piece, and it's just going to go across here. Go ahead and chalk it up if you want. And then you layer up your flowers, just like we did on the other page. I'll walk you through it so that we are on the same page as far as what goes on top of what, and try to make it easy for you. Again, if you want this part, you have a pink background. If you want this part green like a leaf, go ahead and chalk that up before you start layering things on. On top of that, you have a piece that looks like this. And again, we have a little notch here so that you can see where it goes down onto the stem. Okay. So line that up. And then on top of that one is your more intricate orange that goes on top there. Okay. I'm going to put just a few dots. Maybe a couple on the leaf there so it stays in place. Oops. I broke my nail today, actually 2 of them. I was at my son's class and I got caught and I broke my nail. So don't pay attention to my nails today. Okay, so we have our first flower. We're going to just put this up kind of as a placeholder here until we get our next one going. We have a yellow solid base. Chalk it up if you'd like. This one in the picture I did quite a bit of green. But you don't have to chalk them at all if you don't want. It still works. And it can be messy because a lot of it's covered up. Okay, on your solid yellow we have an orange. That goes right on top of it. And if you are watching this and you watch these videos, I just want, or if you are a Club Q member and you watch these videos, I just want to let you know we love seeing your projects once they are done. If you ever want to post them to our Facebook page, we would absolutely love that. I love seeing these projects once they have photos in them. Or if you switched it up a little bit, did it something a little different, that's always fun to see too. But just know we love to see your finished projects. So if you're on Facebook, post them to our page. We'd love it. And a lot of times when we're advertising Club Q, we actually forget to put in there that you get a video to walk you through. We just noticed that the other day, so hopefully all new Club Q members will know that they get an extra video each month to kind of walk you through everything. And I hope this is helpful. I love that we can get it on a video and you can work at your own pace. None of the kits are too intricate and super hard, but it's just kind of nice to have someone walk you through it once in a while so that you're not reading directions step by step, because I am not very good at that, to be honest. I end up doing my own thing. I stop reading directions. Okay, and then you just tuck this in wherever you want for your, oops, for your little journaling piece on the side here. And if you don't want that covered up, you can always go right underneath of it. Okay. And the only thing left you have to do is your little buttons. I'm going to put a blob of glue in the middle of each of these. If you don't like the buttons on your page, you don't have to put those on. Your page still looks gorgeous without them. Oops. So another thing that would work on here is little pop dots to put on your buttons as well, because it's kind of a little indent there. A pop dot would be good. But you've finished your Club Q kit. Super simple, bright and springy. I hope you like your kits this month. If you do, let us know on Facebook. Tag us. We would love to see your projects. Thanks so much for being a Club Q member, and we'll see you next time.